Welcome to Distracted, the podcast with Angela Lockwood, the place where you will find practical brain-boosting strategies, expert insights, and real-life stories to help busy brains thrive in the age of distraction. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to Distracted. I'm Angela Lockwood. Today I want to share with you some really practical strategies that you can use in your week to help you find greater focus. Now, I am one to say consistency and we have a complicated relationship. Let's just say that I have really great plans in place, but following them through on a very consistent basis is always a constant challenge for me. And I'm aware of it. But what I do is I put things in place that are very predictable so that I just know that's what I've got to do. And that's what today's all about. I want to share with you my bookend routines. So bookend routines being like two bookends, one at one side, one at the other. What do I do in my week in order to help me stay as focused as I possibly can as the week unfolds? And I have certain days to do certain things, and that's a whole nother episode. But today it really is about what are those things I do at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week, and what are the things I do at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day to help me stay as focused as I possibly can. And so hopefully through this episode, you'll get some really good strategies that you can take on board. There will also be really great strategies, I'm sure, that you already use, that you go, these are my go-to. Don't change them. Just to use these things that I'm going to share with you today as, I guess, just like you can take the ideas. If they work for you, great. If they don't work for you, then leave it be. And it may not be that you need them all the time. You might just go, this week in particular, I'm feeling quite overwhelmed. Or this week in particular, I feel really flat. I need to have a bit of a boost. What were some of those things that Angela told me about on the episode of Distracted about her bookend strategies for focus? So let's jump right into why these things are really important. Now, I don't have to tell you because you're here on Distracted. Life can get really busy. We often have so many things to be doing with our time. We not just work, but personal life as well, not just in real life, but also online. There's a lot of different things we need to keep up with. And I know that it can often feel like we are always chasing our tails, that there's something that we always have to do. And one of the things with to-do lists that really, I guess, frustrate me is that they never end. Even if you get to the end of the day and you have a list of things to do, there will always be a whole lot of other things that you have to do tomorrow. So my bookend habits I'm going to share with you today, they allow me to know that each week the same things are going to pop up. It's just the detail that will change. And let me jump straight into so that you can have a good understanding around what bookend routines are. And just a little bit of a note. I know people know what routines are, but routines, just for those of you that are thinking, well, really, what are they? They're those things that you put in place that you do each week or each day that just become a part of your life. They become a set of actions that you put into place that you do every time that's usually connected with something. So let's just say I'm going to talk about my Friday bookend routines. And this is the same three things I do every Friday afternoon that help set me up for success for the week after. And those three things are sort of like my default go-to that I know every single week I will do. I will put things in place and I will action them. And then the week after, no matter what happens, I know I have them done. So let's have a look. Let's jump straight into it. All right. I'm going to share with you sort of four different bookend routines I have. And one is my bookend routine that I have at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week. Okay. So how do I start my week off and how do I finish my week? Another routine I'm going to talk about then is the morning routine and the evening routine. So I've got these four different routines I do, but really, if you look at it, they're two different times of the week. Beginning of the week, end of the week, beginning of the day, end of the day. Now, one of the things that I see a lot online, if you were to Google this, there are so many different strategies that you can use. And the interesting part about all of these strategies is that it can actually add to the overwhelm in itself, trying to read them all. like you don't know what the best possible one for you is, because there are so many different things that could work for you. So the thing is, when you're doing these, when you're listening to me, these are what work for me. All right. There are so many different things that you can do. Don't get lost in the overwhelm of all the things. Just sort of see it as an experiment. Go, will this thing work for me this week? If it works for you this week, great. Just keep at it, keep at it. But you might start it and go, do you know what? I'm not sticking to that at all. Or that is totally not working for me. Then don't worry about it. Move on. Okay. Find something that does work for you. Just see these little bookend habits, these bookend routines as an experiment for you. Okay, so don't get too caught up on if it's the right thing for you to do. Just look and go, well, what is it that is going to work for me, and what will I implement? What will I stick with? All right. So the thing is around all of this too is that it's got to be simple. All right. What we don't want is to do 10 different things on a Monday morning and that becomes our routine, because that's going to take a long time. It's too many things to do. What we want to do is find what are the things that are really going to make a big difference for me. And as I share with you what some of my bookend routines are, you will see what I mean by this, that there are things that really mean something for me, and they really align with, well, what is it that I'm currently working on, or what is my current focus. So don't try to choose too many things to do. Don't try to make the routine go for, too long. Don't make it go for long. It's got to be quick wins, actionable, and something that will make a big impact for you. All right. So let's start on a Sunday night. So this is the beginning of my week routine. Now, I deliberately don't do it on a Monday morning because I want to hit the ground running. Come Monday morning, it's game on for me. So Sunday nights are sort of like my light end of the book, okay, the bookend, because Fridays are where I do a little bit of my heavy lifting. So Sunday nights for me, it doesn't take too long, because I don't want it to sort of be a big, long, drawn out process, because I'm probably at home enjoying the end of a long weekend, the weekend, or I'm, just wanting to chill and be with my family. So I don't want it to be too labor intensive. But for me, what I do on a Sunday night is I look at my calendar for the week ahead. Now, some people don't like to blend work and home, but for me, what I find is by doing this, it sort of just gives me the ability to be able to plan ahead, just to go, okay, I've got the expectation that this is going to happen this week. Have I got these things in place so that when I jump into the day tomorrow morning, I am off and racing? And it might be things like, when I look at my calendar, I just sort of go, well, how big a load have I got this week? Is it a light load? Do I have a big intensive day on Monday and a lighter day on Wednesday? And it just helps me look at what the flow of the week is. So I'm not planning. I'm not locking in different appointments. All I'm doing is looking over my week on a Sunday night, and it's almost sort of like preparing myself for the week ahead. All right, it's just getting my head in the game. And then what that does too, rather than me going to sleep on Sunday night going, gosh, I've got this big week ahead of me. No. What I know is, because of the work I've done prior to that, then I'm ready to go. And whatever happens this week, I've done everything I possibly can to be as prepared as I possibly can. So that's the first thing I do on a Sunday night. The second thing I do is I make sure that my food plan for my family is in place. And yes, I do plan what my meals are for the week. And the reason I do this is it reduces the level of thinking around food. Now, I do a lot of brain work in my work. I do a lot of thinking, a lot of creative work, a lot of talking, a lot of writing. And for those of you who are with me and always are using your brain, the last thing I want sitting in my brain is what I'm going to feed my family. So yes, I have done the grocery shopping, which I will talk about in a moment, but I just double check and make sure, yep, we've got everything ready to go for the week. Sunday night, if I've missed something, it's probably too late to go out and get anything anyway. But all I'm doing again is getting my head in the game, going, I am good. It's on the fridge. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone knows who's cooking, who's going to be where. We are all set. Again, it's just about helping my mind calm and not be thinking about all the little details that are going to face me in the week ahead. So I've done the calendar review, I've done my food review, I know what's going on. The third thing I also do is once I've done that is I sit before I go to bed and I journal and I picture what my week is going to look like. And sometimes this is, yes, exactly the detail of what the week looks like, where I'm going to be, if I'm speaking at an event, if I'm meeting with people, what do I have? But it's also about picturing how I want the week to unfold. So, what are the things that I'm working on this week that I might want to reach out? Might want to reach out to some people about. How is that going to end up? So, it's, I guess, like a visualization strategy for me to know that when I go to bed, I have some control over how my week is going to unfold. And the way that that gives me control is I picture it in my head like it's already played out that way. And there's a whole lot of research around visualization. A lot of athletes use visualization techniques like this to help them go through the motions of and help them picture their game plans and how things are going to work. And that's just the same for me. As I look at my week in my head, I've done a quick journal, written it down. How do I want my week to unfold? And then I picture it. And what I find is come Sunday night, I am sound asleep. I have a beautiful sleep like I am ready to go. Now, I'm not going to pretend that every Sunday night it goes beautifully and smoothly because sometimes there's something coming up in the week that makes me feel uncomfortable. Or it might be something where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that this week. Or it's something that, might be a little bit of a difficult conversation I might have to have. What that allows me to do as well is just to plan, just prepare, sit with it, give myself some self-talk or give myself some strategies around how I might deal with that. And the reason I like doing that on Sunday night, to me, it feels like a clean slate for the week. It helps me sort of shift from the weekend to the week ahead. Now, of course, while I'm talking about like the week, I know a lot of people that listen to this aren't Monday to Friday workers. Your weekend might be when you work. So your weekend might be midweek. Just use this as the night before you start your work week. All right. So for me, that's sort of Sunday night. I work a normal sort of classic week, but a Sunday night is the start of my week. So they're the three things I do on a Sunday night. Not super heavy. It's more like an overview, like I'm doing a helicopter view of my week just to see what are the things that I will be needing to do during the week. All right. So I look at my calendar. I make sure all food's in place so that night times are all stress-free. And I also picture how I want the week to unfold. And sometimes that's writing it down in my journal. And sometimes it's actually just laying there and visualizing it and picturing it as it plays out. So that's Monday night. What I'm going to do, I'm going to jump straight to the end of the week. All right. So I'm going to go straight to my Fridays. And it was interesting. I did a post a couple of weeks ago around 3 strategies that I do on a Friday afternoon. And it was really interesting how many people came back and found those really useful. One in particular that was really useful, which I want to share what the 3 are now. And the third one was the one that people had never really thought of, which is great because I love really simple solutions that make a difference. So on a Friday afternoon, what I do is I just put a bit of time aside. It is a little bit more time than what the Sunday night routine is, but what I do is I always make sure that my emails are clear. And some people are like, what? Are you serious? Yeah, I have a 0 inbox policy. What it does is it allows me to clear out any of the sort of tasks from the week, but also for me now, it also helps me clear any stuck energy from the week as well. If I've been sitting on an email that I don't want to respond to, luckily I don't get too many of those, but if I'm sitting on an email that I think is going to take too long or that's got a lot of thinking involved or something that I might find I sort of don't really want to address yet or I'm procrastinating over, what having that Friday afternoon deadline for me makes me take action on it. Now, the action is a couple of ways. Yep, I either respond to it and I clear it out of my inbox. Or if it is a task that or an email that's going to require a bit more thinking, a bit more planning, like I have to send a proposal in, or I, just have to think a little bit deeper about what the email entails. Sort of takes me to the second thing I do is I make sure that those emails and those tasks are locked into my calendar the following week. So rather than just having it sitting there with a red flag attached to it or sitting there like in my to-do list from the week and it just keeps sort of flowing over, I make sure that I've blocked out the time that it deserves the week after to clear it. Because usually, say if it's one of those ones that are hanging around, I usually get to Friday and I go, oh my gosh, I haven't actioned that yet. What it allows me to do is clear that as soon as possible the following week. All right. I know then it's not just hanging around in my inbox. I know that I have been proactive to take the next step with it. So not only do I clear my inbox, the ones that I need to have a bit more thought, or it might be making me feel overwhelmed, or I might be procrastinating over, I make sure that I've blocked in time to address that the following week. All right, the third thing I do on a Friday afternoon, which is what lots of people messaged me on socials and said, I have never thought of doing that. And then they've started it and it's made a big difference. I clear my downloads folder on my computer every single Friday afternoon. Now, let me tell you why this is a big thing for me. I do a lot of creating of content. I've got lots of PDFs. I've got lots of versions of things. I've got, lots of attachments to emails I've had to review. I've got lots and lots of downloadable documents sitting in my downloads folder. Now, if I don't clear those, then what I find when I go to action it, I either get lost in which version am I looking for, or I have to do a search in my downloads folder. It's not allocated to that particular client or that particular project. And so I waste so much time looking for that in downloads. And to me, it's mess, it's clutter. So what I do is I spend some time on a Friday afternoon going through either deleting the files out of my downloads folder that I don't need, or I put them into the folders that they need to go in. Now, some of you might be going, are you serious? Now, if you were to look at your downloads folder now, you will know exactly if this will help you or not. And I got some messages through my socials after I posted it, the tips, and people were like, oh my God, I live out of my downloads folder. Or people were like, I spend so much time searching for files and downloads. This is brilliant. Now, I do it every week because of the volume of work that I could do that week. But also, when I do it every week, it clears quickly. I don't have a build-up of months and months of downloads that I have to go through. So if you're working off a platform like Canva, and you could download a document, review it, and go, oh, no, that's not the right one. Then you download another one and it has version 2 and then version 3. It's really quick to delete all of the versions prior to when you do a quick download. So not only is it you're not seeing hundreds, if not thousands of documents in your download folder, what you're doing is next week you can easily find what you need because you've put it into the system that works for you. So they're my 3 things on a Friday afternoon that I do without fail. Clear my inbox. If there's something that I need to have a little bit more action, a little bit more thinking time, I allocate time for that the following week. And the third thing is I clear my downloads so that I can make sure that I find what I need quickly, because I don't want to waste time. I don't want to fill my head with trying to remember the file, the file path or the name of the file, which, let's face it, a lot of times we don't name the file a logical thing. So we find a lot of time, doing quick views, trying to find that file. So they're my 3 things on a Friday afternoon that I make sure I do without fail. And that's my bookend. That's as simple as it is. Sunday night, I do a quick review, just set myself up, visualize the week. On a Friday afternoon, it's a little bit more task orientated, clearing inbox, allocating time, and just making sure that my system and sort of like my brain is clear so I can step into the weekend. So that's my bookend for the week. Let's move into the bookend for my day. Now, this really is where a lot of things vary for people, because a lot of people have their own health habits, their own way that they like to connect, the way that they like to maybe calm their thinking. So this is what works for me, and it is my bookend routine for the day. So just think about, what do you currently do that works for you? But on the flip of this, so when I'm working through my focus formula workshop with people, it's really interesting what comes up time and time again is the morning routine for people is chaos. And the morning routine is I wake, I reach for my phone, I scroll social media, I roll out of bed, I go and get a coffee, and the whole day just feels like it's already speeding up. And there's a whole lot of work I do with people through the Focus Formula workshop, helping people understand the importance of that start of the day, that bookend routines of the day, and how much they make an impact on how your day unfolds. But these are the three for me. Okay, the first thing I do, big deep breath. And I know that sounds really simplistic. You might be like, are you serious, Ange? But yeah, I do a big, deep breath. Because when I'm sleeping at night, I'm doing lots of shallow breathing. And for me, I find a really big, deep breath not only helps me from a physical point of view, but it's also like a mental trigger to go, it's time. It's like game on. Let's do this. And what it does, it wakes up my body, but it also wakes up my mind. And I'm going to sort of just bring another little habit in here that I do as a part of this routine. So I guess it's number 4. But what I do is not only have a big deep breath, but I always have a big glass of water next to my bed. Whether or not I need to go to the bathroom or not, I gulp that glass of water down so that it hydrates my body very quickly. So before I even start to think about getting out of bed, I've had a big, beautiful deep breath, and I've also sat up and had a glass of water. And so I've done that hydration. Another thing that I do as a part of my morning routine after I go to the bathroom and do what I need to is I do journal. So I take out my journal and I just write something down quickly. Now, I'm a little bit of a brain dump journalist. I'm a bit of like a crisis journalist, if that makes any sense to you, is I'll often write down things that are on my mind. So things that where I feel like I need to clear my thinking. It might be something that's coming up in the day that I'm a little bit worried about, or it might be my hopes for the day, or how I want things to unfold as the day, as the day moves on. Or it might be something where I didn't have a great sleep and I just want to round that off as well. So the journaling in the morning for me really varies around the purpose of that. Sometimes when I have my mantra, I'll write the mantra every single day, and that's just the thing that I do. So whatever it is for you that you like to do, I find writing in the morning for me works really well. And it's not a long drawn out 20, 30 minutes. It literally takes me a couple of minutes just to write it down, clear my head, I close it, and off I go. The third thing I do in the morning is going to be pretty obvious to you. And, it's not rocket science. We all know it, but it's pretty tricky to do. I just move my body. Everyone's like, "Oh, she's serious? I thought it was going to be groundbreaking." But we all know the importance of moving our bodies, right? But the challenge is actually doing that. And for me, I book gym classes in the morning, or I walk my little dog buddy every single morning. And well, actually, I better not say every single morning. Some mornings I don't. I'm either at the gym, or if it's raining, or if it's whatever. Sometimes if I haven't had an amazing sleep, getting up and walking buddy might shift to the afternoon. But definitely I move my body in some way. It might be gym, walking. It might be that my body felt a little bit stiff, so I've done some really good deep stretches. It might be that I did a bit of computer work the day before, so my hip flexors are a bit tight, so I might do some hip opening exercises, things like that. What I do is I tune into what my body needs to move. But one thing I don't allow myself to do is I don't let myself off the hook to not move my body. So they're the 3 things that I do. And I know that they don't sound groundbreaking, but I want you to have a think. Are you doing things that are actually feeding you in a great way when you wake up in the morning? So for me, it's breathing, it's hydration, it's clearing my mind, and it's moving my body. That's what I do every single morning. So have a think about, what do you do every single morning? And there might be something that I have brought up that you're like, oh gosh, I do roll over and I check my phone every morning. And if you do that, then that might be the point where you go, that's the part I want to change in my morning that I know is not serving me well. All right, let's move to the end of the day. Again, it's bookend routines that we're talking about, and I go through this in a lot more detail through the focus formula workshops I run. So if you are working in an organization where you know that your employees and your team are working really hard, they're turning up every day doing, giving their all, but you just know that they could do things in a way that really serves them better, that they could create more time, they could create more energy and have a bigger impact, then I'll really encourage you to consider having the focus formula workshops run in your team, in your workplace. So just reach out to Angela Lockwood. It's support@angelalockwood.com.au, or you can check it out as well on my website at angelalockwood.com.au/professionals, and you can check it all out there. So let's go to the last part of my bookend routines, which is the nighttime. All right. Now, nights are really interesting because they do shift a little bit. Because night times we could have the kids at training, I could be at the gym, we could be doing lots of things, I could be out later, we could have had meetings, I could have been speaking at an event. So my nighttime does change a little bit, but there's a couple of non-negotiables I do just before I go to bed. All right. And I know that some of these people probably don't think about as being a clearing your head activity. But for me, it is. When I go to clean my teeth at nighttime, um, I use that time as a sort of, I guess, a centering time. I use an electric toothbrush, so it's 2 minutes that it goes for. And I use that as a time just to shift my thinking from the day to cueing in to going, it's time to go to bed. You're slowing down the night. And I just find that 2 minutes, how often do we say, I don't have any time? Then giving myself a little bit of an attachment like this it does actually create habits a lot easier. So I go, my 2 minutes of brushing my teeth is the time where I either focus on my breathing, or I just slow down my thinking, I run through the day in my head, or I just stand there and do some balance work. Like I might stand on one leg while I'm brushing my teeth, or it's just one of those. I know these are all really funny things to do, but it is the way that my brain goes, this is switch off time. And in fact, in my second book, Switch Off and Find Calm, I talk a lot about these strategies. And I find, I even go back to that sometimes and have a little flick through, because we do things so automated. We do things without thinking. And when we can connect in and go, well, this is why I'm doing it, and this is the importance of doing it, then what we do is our behaviors become really intentional. We know why we're doing something, and that way we continue to do it, and the consistency really builds up from there because we see the point in it and we see the benefit of it. So brushing my teeth at nighttime is my switch off cue. Another thing I do at night is I always make sure I turn the lights down about half an hour before we go to bed. Now, give or take with the time, but the lighting for me is another cue for me to it's time to start to calm down. Switch off your thinking from the day, and the family, the environment of the home starts to switch into a calming space. And again, there's lots of research around this, around your environment, what that does for your fatigue, for your sleep patterns. But for me, I find it is, again, another switch off routine that I have, that it cues my brain to say, hey, it's now time for calm. The last thing I do before I jump into bed is another quick stretch. And the reason I do that stretch, it's more of a freeing of the day. So yes, it has the benefits of the movement and the stretch. But what I do is, big deep breaths, big stretches above my head, big body movements. And what that does for me is it gets my body ready to jump into sort of the next phase of the day, which is the nighttime, which is sleep. And what I find by doing these things, you can probably get a little bit of a sense of what I'm doing here is I'm clearing my thinking from the day. I'm shifting my focus into the next phase, which is night, and I'm allowing myself, the body, to calm. And what all these things do is it allows me to set up for really good sleep. And most of the time, I have beautiful, long, deep sleeps. Now, that changes, with hormones, that changes a lot. Sometimes, of course, woken up in the middle of the night, but majority of the time, my sleep, because of this nighttime routine, this bookend routine, my body is so used to going, okay, this is what we're doing. We did this last night. We did it the night before. It's time to calm. So that's what works for me. I would love to hear what works for you. What do you do to bookend your week? And what do you do to bookend your day? What are the habits that you create and the routines that you create so that it can be your switch off mechanism, or it might be it's time to wake up and move. It's time to round things off. It's all of these routines that can really create mental clarity. It can reduce things like mental fatigue, but it also can allow yourself the opportunity to expand, create space, and not have all of this constant overwhelm and rush dominating your thinking and dominating your feeling. So hopefully that was really useful for you. But these bookend routines are a must. Spend some time to write down what are some of your bookend routines. And you might even want to go, what are the ones that are working for me and what are the ones that I know really serve me well? The ones that aren't serving you well, it might be good to replace those with something that you know you need to do, or even one of the ones that I've covered here in this episode today. But if you want to feedback anything around what your bookend habits are, or even if you have any questions, please head on to any of my socials, whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and post a question on there, and I'd be happy to answer it. And I'd also love to be your accountability buddy too. If you want to stick to a new routine and you want somebody in your corner, I am so glad to be your accountability buddy. All right, everyone, until next time, again, thanks so much for listening here on Distracted. Don't forget to subscribe on any of the platforms. And if you know that somebody would really benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Show them that you love them. Show them that you care for them. And just thanks so much for being a listener. You have no idea how much I appreciate you being on here. And if the Focus Formula Workshop is something that you would be interested in running for your team, don't forget to reach out at support@angelalockwood.com.au. All right, everyone, that was our bookend routines. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, stay healthy, and I will see you on the next episode of Distracted.